Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I thought today I'd go ahead and do just a little review here, and we'd create a card using these color pops that I got today from scrapbook.com. I got the whole set, was on sale for $19.99, including the little holder. And I'm going to show you how I made this rainbow. And let's go ahead and get started. By the way, this is a mini slimline card, and I make mine 6 by 3.5. And so first thing I want to do is I want to grab my Hero Arts Infinity circle dies and a piece of white accent opaque 120-pound cardstock that I'm going to cut them out of. I'm just going to split that up because I don't need the whole thing right now. And I'm going to create these circles, and I want a total of 8. And I know you see that I'm making circles, but what you get is a double rainbow here. So a trick I like to use is I take my mint tape, and you could take any, low tack tape, and I'll lay it down, and then I'll take a couple of pieces, and I'll lay it down face up, take a couple of pieces just to tack it down so it doesn't move on me. And I'll lay my circles on so that I can position them very evenly spaced on the strip of tape. So I start with my largest. You can start with your smallest, it doesn't matter, but we're going to do sharp side up and just go ahead and place those inside concentrically with each other, so they're evenly spaced until you've got 8 little rungs. And I'm using 8 because I have 8 colors of the pops of color. You can do as many or as little as you want. Again, just making sure to get them nice and even. And you'll see later when I go to cut it in half, I guess my brain just can't figure out what half is, but it doesn't matter because both rainbows come out good. That's one thing about creating and making is I don't have to be a perfectionist. Some things will make me crazy if I get them wrong, and you'll see later in the video what I did wrong. But anyways, we'll go ahead and just get those set. And once you've got them set on there, and I'm counting to make sure I have 8, I'm going to go ahead and lift the tape up off of there and making sure those are secured down. Just going to flip them over and tape them down, and I'll go ahead and rip off that excess there, and I'll go over to my Vagabond 2 to get those cut out. You could use any die cutting machine that you wanted to. I do love that Vagabond 2. I have a Big Shot, but it's put away on a high shelf since I got my Vagabond, so it's just so much easier to do. It's a lot less cranking, and less cranking is good for me. So anyway, we're going to pull those rings out of there, and they kind of stick together, but they do come apart easily. It doesn't seem like they're going to, but they do. And I'll go ahead and take off that little excess piece, and again, I'm below the frame as usual. Sorry about that. It seems to me I can't get my camera close enough to me and be able to zoom, the proper zoom, so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. But there are my concentric circles. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take them apart, and I'm going to color each color individually. For today, I've chosen my Simon Hurley inks. You can use any ink you want to. You can use oxide, you can use paint, you can use markers, whatever you have. But I'm using the Midnight, Clear Skies, Later Gator. Let's see, I can't see it now. Well, you'll see when I get to them. I am going to speed through this though, because it's like watching paint dry. I'll go high speed, and then I'll skip over to when it's done. So I'll just go high speed on a couple of them. But I'm gonna again use those little finger blender brushes that I got from Amazon for 10 bucks that I love, love, love. And just go ahead and use those to spread the color on. And I really like doing it this way because the color gets both, you know, kind of like on the inside of the ring and the outside of the ring, not just the top. And I like that because I don't like any white showing up. So using these little brushes is a big help. You could use your big blender brushes. You could, again, do this any way you want. This is just the way that I'm doing it today since I just got those brushes and I really love them. So then I'm going to go in next with the Clear Skies and color that one up real quick, and then I'll skip over to the part where it's done. Trying to shorten things as best I can without you losing the idea, but there they are all colored in, and I have them set up in order right there. So what I'm going to get out now is my Artist Tack sticky paper. This stuff is great too for what we're trying to do here. So I'll just take and fold that in half because I don't need the whole piece. And I'll just take and start with my largest ring and I'll lay it on. And you want to not touch that as much as possible because it is really, really sticky and it will get boogers on your hands. But you do want to lay those rings in and just don't press down on them until you're sure where they are. And then once you do that, then once you press down, the glue will take hold. But real cool stuff for things like this. You could just use double-sided sticky tape. You could just use glue and glue them down onto your, we're going to be using just a piece of copy paper to glue them onto. But to me, this is just convenient. You can see I'm just making sure the placement's in there without touching the sticky part as much as possible. Oh look, I brought it in frame. How about that? Sorry guys. I will get this. I will become a professional maybe next year. And just about done getting those stuck down. You can see how they're nice. They're even on all sides, so I'll have a nice even rainbow. Then I just close that down, the backing paper, and I'm using my little Cricut tool to kind of burnish them on, just to make sure they're good and stuck down. You can use your bone folder, you can use your hand, whatever, and then I'm just going to roughly cut that out of there because I don't need to mess with the whole giant piece. And take that backing part off. And then I'm going to take my piece of scrap paper, which is copy paper, and I'm going to fiddle around looking for my tweezers. Where are you, tweezers? I might try something else. They're buried there somewhere. You know how it goes. There we go. Just take my tweezers, grab them, and I'm going to stick them down to that paper. And I want to use thin paper. Sorry guys. This voiceover doesn't let you pause the recording, so anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and take and cut that out there from that piece of copy paper. And I'm not worried about the middle piece. I'll cut that out later. There we go. Now I'm going to try and find the center. I know the circle is 4.5 inches in diameter, so that means 2 1/4 would be halfway in the center, right? But for whatever reason, I do it wrong, and I know better. And part of it is the pen marking that I make is kind of out from where I need it to be. But the whole idea is to cut this thing in half, so you've got 2 rainbows. And so I'll just make a mark, and then I'll get out my my cutting tool, it's the tonic cutting guillotine cutter, and I will attempt to cut that in half. See, it looks like half to me. And chop. And uneven. Not bad though, not horrible. So then I'm going to go ahead and just put one of those rainbows aside for another time. And I'm going to take my scissors and cut out that excess white part on the inside of the rainbow. And I like to use my small scissors for that to get it as close as possible. There, now we've got a rainbow. A pretty, ooh. And I'll use the other part of a rainbow for another card for another day. So now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and cut my panel, my background panel. And I'm going to cut that to 5 3/4 by 3 1/4. I end up cutting it at 3 3/4, but then I fix it because I find it's not fitting to my card base properly. So I'm going to grab a card base, and I do make my own card bases as well. Again, they're 3 1/2 by 6 inches, and I don't know what the standard mini slimline is. That's my standard, and I did make myself an envelope template to go ahead and make my own envelopes for them as well, and it's pretty easy to do. It'd be nice to have, you know, a little die cut, but I don't have one, and I'm not gonna. They're like $30 or $40. Just I can't. Rather spend my money on ink or something or paper. So what I've decided to do here is I'm going to go ahead and do a cloudy background like the sample that I showed you. And I'm going to use my, I want to say it's Picket Fence Studios. Yeah, Picket Fence Studios cloud stencil. And I'm going to use, guess what, Salvage Patina for the sky. And I'm just going to, you know, lay it down and just, you've seen it done a million times, just kind of go along the edges of the cloud there and move it around, move it down, color in anything I think needs to be colored in. And this is, the limit to this is your own imagination. So just, you know, I flip my stencil around to try and get the clouds different, you know, on each side. And this is not meant for this size of a card base, so there are some areas where I need to scoot it like that, turn it and scoot it so that it goes all along. Just love this effect. I love it with the one color, I love it with many colors. It's just a great little effect to do. And I'm just using that finger blending brush again to get it done. Just get some color on the bottom, and then I decide there at the top it needs a little bit more definition for the clouds, so just quick go in and make some more definition. Okay, I'm happy with that. Go ahead and wipe up my mess here, and we'll get started on our little rainbow. So I have to decide, you know, where I'm going to put the sentiment and where I'm going to put some of the other elements that I cut out off camera, which are just a couple of clouds and a sun. And I think I'm going to put my sentiment up in the top right. And you'll see later I changed my mind about that after everything's all done, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just glue down my rainbow, and I'm going to glue that down with my Reptile adhesive, and just place it around. And it's okay if it hangs over the edge a little bit. I want it to, actually, because we still have that little bit of space on the card base itself. And then I like to, when I'm rubbing it down, I like to rub it down with a paper towel just to make sure all the glue spreads out and it's nice and stuck down. And once we've got that glued down, then it's time to go ahead and play with those pops of color. Now, here's the thing. When you first get these, they come with this little red thingy in them. And you have to take that out before you can use them. I don't put them back, I throw them away. I don't know if they're supposed to be put back, but it's messy taking them out. That's just an extra clear one that I already had. And I will put that one back in because I already have an open bottle of the clear. But that needs to be taken out first. And, you know, that ensures that when you get the product, it's fresh. It's, you know, nice and sealed. Not only that, they seal it to death. Like, it took me forever just to get them, all the bottles out of their little sealed packaging. But I'm going to go in with the rainbow order, just like I did on the rainbow. And I'm just going to start making dots. And I am definitely no pro at making any kind of dots, Nouveau drops, or anything else like that. But to me, it doesn't matter on this particular kind of card. What I do though is I do prime it and wipe a little off first so that it's ready to go. There's no big blobs waiting to plop out. And I do end up getting some on my paper because I'm a messy crafter. But it's okay. I find a way to hide it. So you do need to be careful if you're doing this rainbow not to knock your hand into the ones on the other side because you can't really see them. So you want to keep that bottle almost straight up and down. And you just have to practice with pressure on those things. You know, how much pressure is right. And they do flatten down some. So if you make little, you know, little piles of, little colorful piles of poo, they'll flatten down some. And again, I'm not looking to be perfect on this, just looking to get the color down. And you could take the time to make them perfect. You could space them. You could get your ruler out. I can't be asked to do all that. I just don't want to. I just rather it be handmade looking. Going down with the orangey color, and I'm sure all those colors have names, but I didn't bother to read them. You'll see there I got a splotch on the paper. I'm going to need to wipe it off, but I end up covering it. I like the way it looks already. So it's as if you had glued down a million little colorful pearls, because it does have a pearly finish to it. And let me just fight with this paper towel here for a minute. I'm just trying not to touch my hand to any of the wet spots that I've made on there already. Okay, just 2 more colors to go. It's looking really pretty. Now I gave those about an hour to dry before I started on the next part of the card, just because I wanted to make sure that I didn't smear them. So I just went off and did something else while I waited for it to dry. I think it really does brings that pop of color, which is, you know, what they're named for. So we'll let that dry, and once that's dry, we'll come back and we'll complete this card. See me trying to clean up my mess there. Okay, so they're nice and dry, and see they did flatten down some. They're still pearly. Off camera, I went and die cut these couple of clouds and this little sun from this set from Spellbinders that I got. Yeah, and I just colored in the sun with the over the moon. And looking for my placement. Where am I going to place my clouds? Where am I going to place my sun? Once I've decided on placement, I'm going to go ahead and glue the card down to the panel down to the card base. First, I'm going to decide on a sentiment, and these are some of Hurley's latest release. And just trying to choose one from here. I don't have a lot of these kinds of sentiments. You guys know me. I'm kind of more of a dark person, but hey, I can be bright too. Come on, give me a break. So I decided to choose the same one, and I'm gonna put it there. And I'm thinking, you know, I would really like that. It would look really cool curved right there. And I'm trying to think, how am I going to get that to curve? I don't know, because I'm not going to hand stamp it. Even though you saw me be able to brush my Simon Hurley inks, they're rather dry. And so it takes about 8 tries or at least 4 tries to get a good solid color. So I'm gonna get out my stamping platform, and this is my Tonic Tim Holtz stamping platform that I imported from England. It cost me a fortune too, but it's so worth it. And here I am still trying to figure out how I'm gonna get that curved. And I'm thinking, what the heck? But I know I want it to curve. I just know I do. I just, for whatever reason, I don't like the looks of it straight. And I'm halfway off camera here, so I'm sorry about that. Typical. I will try and move this thing up if I can, but I need it right where I can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it actually on the clear part there, and I'm going to manually kind of curve it and just keep testing it until it looks like the curve is correct. I don't end up getting it correct, but it's close enough. So you just got to keep playing with the curve. I know, you know, I could have probably made like a tape jig or something like that in hindsight, but that's 2020. We know how that goes. I'll know next time that I should probably create something, some sort of jig, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the dark blue, what is it called? Midnight Snack. I don't want any black on this card. For the other card I did gray. And I was thinking about using purple on this, but I decided the Midnight Snack would be right next to the Midnight Snack rainbow bow thingy. So I go for the Midnight Snack. And it's going to take me at least 3 tries to get this firmly down. And of course, after 1 try, I discover that it's not exactly curved properly, but I'm committed now, so live with it. 1, 2. Okay, 3rd time's gonna be a charm. And I'm gonna leave that flat. I want the rainbow to be the main event there. Okay, I'm happy with that. That'll be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and just glue that down now to my card base. And I was gonna do a blue card base and change my mind, decided to go with white. I did make, I have pre-made several of different size card bases so that I can test them out. Yeah, I like it with the white. It's better with the white. So I'm gonna use my reptile adhesive and I'm gonna glue that down. This stuff holds really great. I love it. The only thing is you don't want to use it on really thin card because it leaves like a lump. It just doesn't want to spread down. I don't know what it is with that, but I've had that before where I glued something on and it just, you could see all the glue marks. And so in those kind of cases, I tend to use tape it. But for this, I wanted to glue down. So now I'm going to decide my placement of my little elements there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And what I'll do is I'll just, I'm going to have to use some foam tape to kind of prop it up where the where it's under the rainbow part. And so I'm just going to use the same size foam tape and I'm just going to trim it. I could go in and grab squares and things like that, but the thing is that I'm never sure if they're the same height, and I don't want to mix heights if that makes sense. But so I just trim it down with my scissors. And so ask me how often I have to clean my scissors. Quite often. And what I do is I just use hand sanitizer and I just let it sit there for a minute, and then I take my heavy washcloth and I rub at the scissors. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue down right there, so it'll hold right there as well. And I want to make sure when I place that it's not hanging over the edge too much. A little bit's okay, tiny bit, but not much. Get that one glued down. Go in for the sun. And if you don't have, a cutter or a die like for clouds or something like that, you can always just freehand some clouds. Or you could just trace it out from your stencil. Okay, see, I've got a little bit of sticky tape on there and then some glue. Make sure that that's good and stuck down. And see, here's where I get to cover up my little boo-boo with this cloud. In hindsight, I feel like there's too much empty space to the right, but live and learn. My composition wasn't as perfect as I would love it to be. But I'm not mad. I mean, that cloud does kind of go over some. And I'm just going to place foam tape along the bottom there and then glue on the top. Yep, I still need a piece of foam tape over there in that corner. So all in all, since this was a review of these pops of color, again, I want to say I have no affiliation with scrapbook.com. So they're not paying me to do this. I'm just doing it because I felt like doing it and I need to make a video. So here we go. I do have an affiliation with Amazon, so if you do purchase from any links that I leave with Amazon, it doesn't cost you any extra money, but it gets me a few cents so I can buy more goodies. And I appreciate that if you do. Anyways, thanks so much. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, like and subscribe. Have a great day.